Hey guys, what's going on? James here, and in this video today, we're going to be talking about all of the players that you guys need to keep an eye on for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers Week 3 matchup versus the Denver Broncos. So guys, without further ado, let's talk about the first player, which is outside linebacker Shaq Barrett. Now, a commenter said to me the other day, James, are you worried about Shaq Barrett? And I talked about this in the matchups to watch video. I'm not worried about Shaq Barrett. Yes, he doesn't have a sack through 2 games right now, but I still think that he can get double-digit sacks on the season, okay? He's still got 14 games to do it. He's got plenty of time. He's got a great supporting cast around him. He had 19.5 sacks last year. The opportunities will come when they come, and I think when everything's said and done, Shaq Barrett will get at least 10 sacks. And even to say if he got 8.5 sacks or 9.5 sacks, that's not a bad year for a pass rusher in my opinion. He is still pretty darn close to that double-digit sack threshold, and he's still contributing in a big way. But I will say that Shaq Barrett, if he does want the large contract that he wants, he's going to have to start improving here, start to make the most of the opportunities when they do come up, and really try and figure out some ways to beat those double teams and really get to the quarterback. He's got a pretty decent matchup here. He's going up against guys like Garrett Bowles and Dalton Risner. Still high-level draft picks for the Denver Broncos, but still better matchups when compared to guys like Russell Okung as well as Teron Armstead. So I expect Shaq Barrett to have at least 1 sack in this game. I think he can do some pretty good things, especially with Jeff Driscoll at the quarterback position. A little bit of a downgrade from Drew Lock, obviously, but yeah, Shaq Barrett's going to be an interesting guy to keep an eye on. Let's hope that he can get some things going for this Tampa Bay Buccaneers pass rush. The next player I want to keep an eye on is Leonard Fournette, who blew up last game versus the Carolina Panthers with 12 carries, over 100 yards, and 2 touchdowns. A lot of people said this is the stamp. This is it. Leonard Fournette is going to be the starting running back over Ronald Jones. I said that in the live stream. I've had a couple of days to think about it and kind of wind down from my thoughts on that, and I don't think it's 100% set in stone, but I will say Leonard Fournette made a case to give himself more snaps. Ronald Jones has still been good at the running back position so far this year. He's getting 3.4 yards a carry. He's scoring touchdowns. I think that ultimately the run blocking on the offensive line has still been a little bit of an issue. It hasn't been as bad as I've seen in the past, but it still very much could be better. So I'm definitely going to be looking to see how the snap totals pan out in this game versus the Broncos. Who's going to be getting more snaps? Is it going to be Leonard Fournette? Is it going to be Ronald Jones? Are things going to kind of stay the same that they were in week number 2? It's going to be a very interesting thing to pay attention to. How are these guys going to factor into the receiving game? LeSean McCoy, he did some okay things in week 2, but he dropped a wide open touchdown pass from Tom Brady. He left some points up on the board. That's not good at all. He hasn't been looking great in pass protection. I think that when Leonard Fournette is getting more comfortable here in this offense, and I think that comfortableness started in week 2, I don't know if he's going to be taking away snaps from Ronald Jones. I think more so he'd be taking snaps away from LeSean McCoy, and we might start to see Leonard Fournette be more of that receiving back over a guy like LeSean McCoy. But again, this is going to be another thing to pay attention to just to see how the snap counts shake out and to see how well Leonard Fournette does against this Denver Broncos defense. And I'm obviously going to be keeping an eye on Ronald Jones as well because I think he could have a very big game against this Broncos defense as well. So pay attention to Leonard Fournette due to the fact that he had a phenomenal week 2 game. Pay attention to Ronald Jones because he is still the starting running back right now, and let's just see how both those guys do. I think that they work amazing together and they have a very formidable run game when they are working together. It's just going to be interesting to see how the snap count turns out and which guy gets more carries and more targets in the receiving game. The next player we are going to be paying attention to is Tristan Wirfs, the right tackle. Shout out to the commenter who told me to give some love to Tristan Wirfs. Tristan Wirfs has been awesome through 2 weeks, okay? He really has been. He has gone up against Brian Burns, which is not an easy matchup for all the Florida State guys out there, you'll know. And then also going up against Cameron Jordan, which is an incredibly difficult matchup to go up against because Cameron Jordan is one of the, I want to say, top 7 pass rushers in the NFL. Cameron Jordan's really good. Brian Burns is a really good rising star pass rusher, and Tristan Wirfs held his own against both of those guys. Now we have the opportunity to see Tristan Wirfs potentially go up against Bradley Chubb. I don't know if they're going to line Bradley Chubb up against Donovan Smith or Tristan Wirfs. I would assume it's going to be Donovan Smith, but If that's the case, it's going to be Tristan Wirfs versus Jeremiah Atachu. So overall, I've been very impressed by Tristan Wirfs, especially given the fact that he has not had a lot of time to prepare for this upcoming season. He's been great so far, and he has been exactly what I wanted him to be, which is a pretty darn solid starting right tackle. So pay attention to Tristan Wirfs. He's had a great start to his year, and hopefully he can keep it going against the Broncos. The second to last player that I'm going to mention here is another rookie. It's Antoine Winfield Jr., who so far this year has had a pass deflection, a forced fumble, and he is now third on the team in total tackles behind Devin White and Lavonte David. Much like Tristan Wirfs, Antoine Winfield Jr. has been phenomenal to start this year. He has been doing a lot of good things. He's been applying pressure in the pass rush game. He's been very good in coverage. He's had his hands on a couple of almost interceptions. Antoine Winfield Jr. has been absolutely everywhere. He's been supporting the run game, and I guess I should say the run defense. He's been absolutely everywhere, and I've been very impressed with him. I've said it before. You guys have heard me say it before. I thought that Antoine Winfield Jr. was a first-round value. I thought that he could have been a starting safety right away. He was, and he just seems to be getting better every week and every day he's on this team. He's got a phenomenal pedigree with his dad and Antoine Winfield Sr., and it's just awesome to have him on the team. I'm so pumped for Tristan Wirfs and Antoine Winfield Jr., and let's hope that Antoine Winfield Jr. in the secondary can keep up their momentum from week 2, getting 4 turnovers on Teddy Bridgewater and the Panthers offense, and they can continue that momentum against Jeff Driscoll and the Denver Broncos offense. Going up against the backup quarterback should make things a little bit easier. Again, I know there's that stigma talking about how, going up against a backup quarterback for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense always ends in failure because they always end up having a career game. Let's hope that's not the case. Let's hope Antoine Winfield Jr. and the rest of the boys can get it done. Maybe Antoine Winfield Jr. can get a interception in this game. Who knows? But guys, the last player that we're going to be looking at is going to be yet another rising star for this Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense. It's Devin White, who so far this year has 26 tackles through 2 games. That's pretty good. He's been absolutely everywhere. He's been getting pass deflections. I think he leads the league, or leads the team in pass deflections right now, rather. He leads the team in tackles. He's been everywhere. He's been a great pass coverage linebacker. He's been a great run defense linebacker. His tackling has been very sure tackling, I guess I should say. I think I've only seen him miss 1, maybe 2 tackles. Overall, Devin White's been absolutely phenomenal. He's got the captain's patch on his chest for a reason. Him and Lavonte David have been stellar through 2 weeks. And I've said it before, I'll say it again. I think that they're one of the best linebacking duos in the NFL right now. They're playing lights out, and they have a tall task ahead of them versus guys like Melvin Gordon, Noah Fant, among others. So they're just going to have to continue to be great. I mean, Melvin Gordon's no slouch. Noah Fant's a very young, rising tight end in this league. But Lavonte David is one of the best linebackers in the NFL. And Devin White is one of the rising star linebackers in the NFL. So to say that this matchup is going to be interesting is an understatement in my opinion. I really want to see how these guys continue to just evolve and be consistent with their amazing play. Really, I can't say enough for how good Devin White has been playing, how good Lavonte David has been playing, really how good the defense as a whole has been playing. We've seen Lavonte David, Devin White, and Antoine Winfield Jr. all factor into the pass rush, all really just make plays left, right, and center. It's been really, really interesting to watch. And whenever you factor that in with guys like Carlton Davis in the secondary who have been locking down their receivers, it really is impressive to see how good this defense has been playing. Against the Saints, I thought they did a phenomenal job in containing Drew Brees in the offense. Against the Panthers, yes, the Panthers did get a lot of yards, but they did not score a lot of points. And a lot of those yards were really just garbage time yards, things like that. It really didn't matter at the end of the day. The Buccaneers defense held when they needed to held when they needed to hold, and they got turnovers when they needed to get turnovers. The biggest thing that I want to see versus the Denver Broncos and backup quarterback Jeff Driscoll is I want to see more turnovers in consistency with that, because if we can get turnovers at a consistent basis, this defense is going to arguably be one of the best in the entire NFL. I have no doubts about that in my mind whatsoever. But Guys, that's going to be it for this video. Let me know what you think about all the players that I listed down in the comments section below. What are some of the players that you guys are going to be keeping an eye on for this Tampa Bay Buccaneers matchup versus the Denver Broncos? Guys, thanks so much for watching. Hope y'all enjoyed. I will see you in the next video or the next live stream. But until then, and as always, guys, goodbye for now, and go Bucs.